The American car market just posted its worst month in over a year. November sales down 8% year over year. Delinquencies hitting record highs going back 30 years. This isn't speculation. Subprime borrowers are defaulting at rates higher than any point since the 1990s. Major automakers are laying off thousands, and the federal government just killed the EV tax credit, pulling forward demand that's now evaporating. By summer 2026, the market will be unrecognizable. Dealerships shuttered, manufacturers bleeding billions, millions of Americans trapped in vehicles they can't afford and can't sell. This is the 2026 car market collapse, and it's already started. December 1st, 2025. November sales just came in, down 8% year over year. The seasonally adjusted annual rate dropped to 15.7 million units, down from 16.5 million, the sharpest sustained decline since pandemic shutdowns. But this collapse follows two massive demand surges. In March 2025, consumers panicked ahead of Trump's 25% auto tariffs. They rushed dealerships. GM reported 17% sales jump. Dealer inventory dropped 10%. Then September hit. The federal EV tax credit expired September 30th. Consumers raced for $7,500 subsidies. Q3 became the strongest quarter ever for EVs. Tesla, Hyundai, GM saw massive spikes. Both surges were artificial. Panic buying, front-running catastrophe. Now both are over. Tariff buyers gone. EV credit buyers gone. What's left? A market with no organic demand, crushing prices, and debt about to implode. The average new vehicle costs $49,740, just $200 below the all-time record. A 3-year-old used car, $28,000. These aren't luxury vehicles. Basic transportation the Americans can't afford. And the tariffs haven't been fully absorbed. The 25% import tariff hit April 3rd. The 50% steel and aluminum tariffs are still working through. Industry insiders confirmed widespread price increases started June. They're still rising. The debt catastrophe. Americans now owe $1.66 trillion in auto loans, more than student debt, 9% of all consumer debt. Nearly 20% of buyers sign 84-month loans, 7 years of payments. Average loan term hit 69 months. Almost 6 years locked into depreciating assets. Interest rates? Average 7% for new cars, 11% for used. For subprime borrowers, 18% to 20%. At those rates, a $30,000 vehicle costs over $45,000 by payoff. You're paying 50% more in interest. Monthly payments now, $760 for new cars, $540 for used. November 2025 set a record. For a household earning $75,000, that payment consumes 12% of gross income. Add insurance, gas, maintenance, 20% of income just to own a vehicle. This is mathematically unsustainable. In October 2025, subprime delinquencies hit 6.65%, 60 days or more past due. Highest rate since 1994. The highest in 30 years. Overall, 90-plus day delinquencies reached 5.02% in Q3. Even borrowers with excellent credit saw delinquency rates surge over 300% year over year. VantageScore just released a bombshell. Auto loans went from least risky in 2010 to one of the riskiest in 2025. Delinquencies up 50% in 15 years, while every other loan category improved. Americans aren't struggling. They're drowning. The manufacturing bloodbath GM laid off over 1,700 workers across Michigan and Ohio. They're cutting Factory Zero in Detroit from 2 shifts to 1, eliminating 1,200 EV jobs. They're pausing battery production for 6 months at Ohio and Tennessee plants, another 2,100 on indefinite layoff. Ford shut down Rouge Electric Vehicle Center indefinitely in November. The F-150 Lightning plant, the modern Model T, closed with no return date. Over 2,000 workers laid off. Ford suspended 2025 earnings guidance and warned of $1.5 to $2 billion hit from a fire at their aluminum supplier. The Novelis plant that supplied 36% of U.S. automotive aluminum is destroyed. Won't rebuild until 2026. Stellantis, Rivian, Volkswagen, all cutting production and jobs. Dana Thermal Products permanently closed Auburn Hills. International Automotive Components shut 2 Michigan facilities, 250 jobs gone. This is happening before the real crisis. Sales still at 15.7 million annual rate. When sales crater to 13 million or 12 million in 2026, job losses won't be thousands. They'll be hundreds of thousands. Analysts estimate for every assembly job lost, 3 jobs disappear in suppliers, dealerships, local economies. When Michigan loses 3,300 direct auto jobs, total impact is 13,300. States like Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee are about to watch regions economically collapse. The EV tax credit disaster. The federal EV tax credit offered $7,500 per vehicle. Expired September 30th, 2025. The market's response tells everything. Q3 2025 became the strongest quarter ever for EVs. Consumers rushed before credit disappeared. Hyundai offered up to $9,800 additional discounts. Tesla, GM, Ford saw massive spikes. September E5 market share hit 12%, the highest ever. But October, sales collapsed. November, down further. Cox Automotive reported EV and plug-in hybrid sales are collapsing in Q4. Without tax credit, demand evaporated. Manufacturers are stuck. They ramped up EV production for Q3. They built inventory expecting sustained demand. But demand was artificial, subsidy-driven. Now they're sitting on inventory they can't move. They're cutting production, laying off workers, pausing battery operations, canceling EV programs. The EV tax credit pulled forward 6 months of demand. When it expired, sales didn't soften. They cratered. The tariff catastrophe. There's no such thing as a fully American-made car. The Ford F-150? Only 30% U.S. or Canadian content. 70% from international supply chains. Tesla's Model Y, ranked most American-made? Still 30% foreign parts. Every EV relies on battery cells from China and South Korea. Average U.S. assembled vehicle contains 50% foreign parts. When tariffs hit those components, every vehicle gets more expensive. Not just imports, everything. The 50% steel and aluminum tariffs add $400 to $3,000 per vehicle. The 25% import tariff adds $5,000 to $12,000. A $50,000 vehicle easily becomes $60,000 to $65,000 once tariffs fully price in. Automakers can't absorb costs. Ford suspended guidance. GM withdrew projections. These are survival mode decisions. Costs get passed to consumers. When a $50,000 vehicle becomes $65,000, demand doesn't soften. It collapses entirely. The 2026 timeline. Q1 2026. January-March, sales collapse. No panic buying, no subsidies, just a market facing $65,000 vehicles with 8% rates and consumers drowning in debt. Sales drop below 14 million annual rate. Q2 2026. Small and mid-sized dealerships start closing. Sitting on inventory they can't move. The weakest 10% go under. Thousands of jobs vanish. Summer 2026. Borrowers who stretched to buy in early 2025 start defaulting en masse. Underwater on loans. Can't afford payments. Can't sell. Lenders seize vehicles worth less than loan balances. Fall 2026. Auto loan defaults spread to financial system. Banks holding auto-backed securities face losses. The $1.66 trillion market becomes toxic. Lenders stop issuing loans entirely. Winter 2026. Production cuts turn into plant closures. GM, Ford, Stellantis announce permanent shutdowns. Tens of thousands of layoffs. Regional economies enter recession. What this means for you. If you don't need a vehicle now, wait. Prices will spike through spring 2026. When demand collapses late 2026, dealerships will be desperate. But you need cash or excellent credit. If you have a car loan, especially underwater, understand your position. You can't sell without loss. You can't refinance. Your only option is keep paying and pray you don't lose income. If you're buying now to beat price increases, understand what you're doing. You're locking into a depreciating asset at inflated prices with high interest for 7 years. That vehicle will be worth 40% less in 2 years. You'll still owe 80% of the loan. This is bigger than cars. When $1.66 trillion in auto debt starts defaulting, when dealerships close, when manufacturing jobs disappear, effects ripple through the entire economy. The 2026 car market collapse isn't prediction. It's a timeline already in motion. November sales down 8%. Delinquencies at 30-year highs. Thousands already laid off. EV market collapsed. Tariffs haven't even been fully absorbed. By summer 2026, the market will be unrecognizable. Dealerships closed. Manufacturing cut. Millions trapped in loans on vehicles they can't sell. This has happened before. In 2008, auto required government bailout. But this time, the problem isn't credit freezes or production capacity. It's fundamental affordability. Americans cannot afford $65,000 vehicles with 8% interest and 84-month loans. The American dream used to include car ownership, reliable transportation, freedom to drive. But by end of 2026, for tens of millions of Americans, that dream will be dead. The collapse isn't coming. It's here. The only question is whether you see it in time.